At 11. Yeah, it's 7 o'clock.
Big raise.
Well, we're getting another one.
Good evening, everybody.
If this
It
contract
is
passes.
7 o'clock. Welcome to the Tuesday night, November 12th meeting of the Park City Council. Our mayor is out of town for a few more weeks, so I'm sitting in tonight as council president. Marlo, would you roll?
Charlie Davidson,
Here.
George Glover.
Here.
Ben Salcetta, Charles Schwenke,
Here.
Terry Osborne,
Here.
Troy Hill,
Here.
Brandy Bailey,
Here.
Jim Schrader.
Here.
Mr. Council President, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Ben reached out to me earlier. He was going to be absent tonight. We'll call the meeting to order then, since we have a quorum. Invocation, Pastor Bob Darnell. And Chief Boston, if you would lead us in the pledge.
Good evening. Almighty God, we come before you this evening. Lord, you give us wisdom if we ask. And Lord, if we have things that we have need of in our lives, you tell us to bring our petition to you. So God, on behalf of the city council, Lord, the men and the women who are weighing decisions on behalf of this community, Lord, I pray, guide their thoughts, Lord, and everything that they lay their hands to do, Lord, may they find you blessing them, oh God. Lord, we thank you, Father, for who you are. And through your Son, Jesus Christ, we have become a family. So, Lord, this evening, Lord, bless these men and women, God. Lord, bless our police department, Father, as they secure and make sure that we are safe in this community. Lord, I praise your holy name, Father. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve the agenda, and do we need to note, at least on my copy, there was 2 number 12s? Oh, the one I have here is corrected. Okay. Terry?
I move to approve the agenda as written.
Okay. Troy?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That moves 7-0. Awards and presentations. Don't have anybody signed up for that. Public forum. Also don't have anybody signed up for public forum. So we will move on to staff reports. No reports tonight, sir. Okay. That brings us to the consent agenda. We would entertain a motion to approve or discuss the consent agenda. Charlie?
I move that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
And Brandy?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That moves 7-0. New business. Discuss and consider a proposed special use request to establish an accessory dwelling in the R1 Single Family Residential District on property located approximately a quarter mile east of Hydraulic Avenue and south of 77th Street North, 2205 East 77th Street. Russ?
This is one of 3 planning items. Thank you. This is one of three planning items we're going to present tonight, all approved unanimously by the Planning Commission on October 21st. The first case here, again, is an accessory dwelling unit on an 8-acre piece of property shown on your screen. The location of this secondary dwelling unit will be in the southeast quadrant to the southeast of the existing home. This case was approved based on the factors in your packet, as well as several standard conditions of approval. This is probably the third accessory dwelling unit special use that we have approved in my tenure. So we are looking at, also provided in your packet is a graphic showing the design of the accessory structure. I believe it is on page 50 of the agenda packet. And the conditions, again, very standard. Only one accessory dwelling is permitted under this special use, as well as it needs to meet various building codes. And I'll stand for any questions that you may have.
Questions? No questions for us, so we would entertain a motion. I guess to repeat, this has been approved by the Planning Commission 5-0, so we have the choice of approving the special use as presented, denying it, approving the special use with modifications or conditions, or request additional information and return to the Planning Commission. Brandy?
I move to approve ordinance number 1201-2024, an ordinance approving the special use to establish an accessory dwelling in the R1 Single Family Residential District on certain property located within the city of Park City, Kansas, under the authority granted by the zoning regulations of the city.
You have a second? Charlie?
Second.
A motion is second, so this will be a roll call vote. Marlo?
Jim Schrader,
Aye.
Terry Osborne,
Aye.
Brandy Bailey,
Aye.
Troy Hill,
Aye.
George Glover,
Aye.
Charles Swinkie,
Aye.
Charlie Davidson.
Aye.
So we have, that is approved 7-0? All right. That brings us up, so that passes. That brings us up to item number 10, which is discuss and consider approval of a proposed change of zoning district classifications from the R3 multiple family residential district to the D-D downtown district on property located south of 61st Street North and east of Hydraulic. Russ?
Thank you. Again, you'll be familiar with these two lots. They front Hydraulic, and it's the old senior center and old city hall. The downtown district in its inception did not consider these two lots within the footprint of that zoning district. So due to recent development proposals, we're wanting to take that zoning district out to Hydraulic. Quite frankly, under the district, proposed DD district, we'll have better architectural controls, more landscaping design, things of that nature. So I think it behooves the city for the redevelopment and future development of these two lots to fall under that zoning district. I should have mentioned this in the special use, but also in this case, we received no neighborhood opposition or inquiry on the zone change. It also was recommended for approval 5-0 on the 21st of October. Subject to no other conditions. It's platted, and again, all the conditions we would typically ask for in the staff comments are going to already be a requirement of that downtown district. So I'll stand for any questions that you may have.
Questions for Russ? Troy?
How does that affect the existing owners in those buildings now? Does it change anything?
Any type of substantial physical alteration to the exterior of the buildings, it would come, the most impactful thing to future development on there would be a site plan review requirement, as we're going to see beginning next Monday night at the Planning Commission. So we have a requirement that they submit a site plan and landscape plan for review. It is recommended by the Planning Commission, and the City Council will have ultimate approval of those projects as they come online. So we don't know at this point, but it's going to be a marginal increase in restrictions or regulations regarding that. So as long as the proposed redevelopment of that site, or if they choose to scrape the buildings and build new, it'll all fall under the site plan requirements. And that does not require public notice. That just gets placed on the Planning Commission agenda and then ultimately your agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? If not, would entertain a motion, one of the four options, same as the last. Brandy?
I move to approve ordinance number 1202-2024, an ordinance changing the zoning district classification of certain lands located in the city of Park City, Kansas, under the authority granted by the zoning regulations of the city as originally approved by ordinance number 1183-2023.
And Terry?
Second.
Another roll call vote. Marlo?
Jim Schrader,
Aye.
Terry Osborne,
Aye.
Randy Bailey,
Aye.
Troy Hill,
Aye.
George Glover,
Aye.
Charles Schwenke,
Aye.
Charlie Davidson.
Aye.
That is approved 7-0. Which brings us to item 11, to discuss and consider approval of the Air Capital Industrial Park 6th Edition, the final plat for the property located south of 61st Street North and approximately 1,700 feet east of Seneca. Russ?
Thank you. This is the 6th addition to the Air Capital Industrial Park. Last year, the City Council approved Air Capital Industrial Park 5th Edition just to the north, northeast of the subject property. You'll see here on the graphic Biggs Street, a new street that was platted and dedicated as part of the 5th edition, will extend to a cul-de-sac to serve this 8-lot industrial park. As you can see, lots range from approximately 2.5 acres to 12 acres in size, with several reserves dedicated to stormwater retention. The only notable addition to this would be that Lot 7, which you'll see in the upper middle of the screen, just to the northeast of the cul-de-sac, is Lot 7. Lot 7 was approved last year for a special use permit in anticipation for this plat to allow a metal recycling and processing center. The only other comment of note in the approval is that the developer is still working with Evergy on acquiring a transmission line easement. Talks will continue until there's resolution to that and before the applicant submits the Mylar for signatures. So that is one of the staff recommendations. Again, approved by the Planning Commission 5-0.
Questions on this item? No questions, so we'd entertain a motion. And our button isn't working. I hear Terry clicking.
The Jeopardy button's just not working tonight.
Yeah, now you're buzzed in, okay.
I move to approve the final plat as presented.
And George?
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Marlo? No roll call on this one?
No.
Okay. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? That passes 7-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Russ. Brings us up to item 12, discuss and consider approval of a bid from Trimlight Wichita for the City Hall lighting. Gina?
Good evening, sir. Gina's not here tonight, so I'll handle this one. At the direction of the council staff, sought out bids to install permanent lighting here at City Hall. 3 bids were acquired with Trimlight Wichita being the lowest bid. Permanent lighting will allow the City Hall to be lit year-round with a variety of color combinations, which can easily be pre-scheduled or adjusted via a smartphone. Staff recommends approval and authorizing the council president to execute a contract for the City Hall lighting from Trimlight at a total cost not to exceed $38,791.20 to be paid from the general fund governing body. We do have here tonight two representatives from Trim Light if council has any questions. Rodney Blockview, and this is Mr. Carl Britton. So,
Hello?
Yeah, we'd love to hear.
Yeah. So our permanent lighting has a 10-year warranty, which is the materials are always going to be covered. And after the first year, then it's just a small trip charge to come out and fix anything. But it does have that 10-year warranty.
we have some pictures, Matt.
Yeah, I did submit a little PowerPoint to kind of give you some ideas on some stuff. So on the next slide here, it'll kind of tell you about Trim Light. It was invented in 2011 by Ryan Whitaker in Salt Lake City. It was the first and original patent holding of a permanent holiday lighting, and we have 200 dealers all across the United States. So what the point of me putting that one in there is, if for some reason I decide that I don't want to do Trim Light anymore and I close it down and no one else opens a dealership here, under your warranty and under our agreement, the next closest dealer is required to service your warranty. So that would be Kansas City and then Oklahoma City or Tulsa.
Okay.
Next slide so about me, I started it in 2021. We've done over 400 installs across the Wichita Metro, which is approximately 52,000 feet. I have an internal crew that is specially trained for this style of lighting. And we have residential, commercial, and municipal applications. We did the Hayesville lights down on their municipal buildings, and then we did the Main Street in Valley Center. The lights are rated for 50,000 hours, and they are installed in an aluminum channel that is color matched to the building, so it looks as a wonderful accent to the building. It just looks like it's a part of it. The commercial diodes are 33 millimeter, and there's 3 LED diodes in each one of those, so it's a really nice bright. You can also dim it if it gets too bright. But we have the best in class, or best in industry 10-year warranty on those. User-friendly app, and so you all can control who has that, access to that. So
Please,
you guys can
please,
fight
please.
over that. There's 16 million different color and animation combinations, so you're never going to be able to run out of that fun time. It also syncs to music, so if you guys do some sort of an event out here or anything like that and you wanted to get it dancing and going crazy, you can definitely do that. And then if you just want to set it and forget it, there is the calendar and scheduling function, so you can schedule out the entire year. Here comes some commercial examples. Some of the things that like Valley Center uses it for is like on their home football games, they will have their purple and gold out, and same thing with Hayesville. And so these are just some of the commercial examples and whatnot of what the lights would look like on the building. That is a city hall in a small town. That's from another dealer throughout the United States, but that's on a city hall. We should have a couple more, I think. That little coffee shop's in Derby. I tried to do a trade with them for coffee, Life Coffee, but it didn't work. Then we also have another product which is really interesting. It is also works with our system. You can change lights, colors, do all the patterns, but it is a party light. So if you have in the future any kind of development that would fit something like that, that could be a wonderful option in the future. I wanted to include this just because it's a really neat little add-on. So I really appreciate your opportunity and the consideration. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer it.
So is this kind of a track lighting? So when you leave it up there all year, and if it's not used, is it visible?
So we install it in an aluminum channel. It will be visible if you're looking for it. One of the things with the commercial application, the lights do point out versus on residential, it points down. So it's going to be a little bit more visible. The 33 millimeter is going to be about the size of a $50. And so that'll kind of be the idea of it. But if folks are walking up to the building, unless they're really looking for it, you're not going to see it because it's in that aluminum channel that's color matched.
Okay.
So it's a really nice. It really looks clean and it's really hard to see during the day.
Okay, George?
Yeah, what's the timeline for installing?
So we were told that it would have to be done by December 7th. So if approved, we're ordering materials tomorrow, and we are going to get started as soon as the materials come in.
So you can sync the music with the seasons, like Christmas music during Christmas and what have you,
Yep.
Easter? And
Yeah, so it's not going to be as intense as what is called a DMX system, where you're going to have the hits whenever the the music is synced with it with a computer system. But what happens is whatever, if you had an iPad and you had it by the speaker, you can listen to it it'll listen to the music and dance that way. So that's the easiest way. You can hardwire it in as well. But it's not like a DMX where you can write a computer program and make it do those things.
so the lights would come on at a certain time in the evening, or
Oh,
they're
yeah,
all day, or?
so in the scheduling function, you can do it from any time. So you can, and any
Yeah.
patterns, you can also run 5 different patterns in different intervals. So if every time somebody drove by City Hall and you want it to look a little bit different, you could have that 5 different pattern for Christmas or Halloween or whatever.
Are they LED lights? What's the cost effectiveness of this?
So they are extremely cost effective, and they are LED. They're 12 volts, so it's not pulling very much power. On a residential install, which is typically about 200 feet, you may see a dime increase in your electric bill. So this will cover about 1,000 feet, so it'll be a little bit more. So you'll be about $1.
Okay, thank you.
Charlie?
Okay, the lights, you can blink different colors on and off. Do the tracks race at all?
Yes, so the lights, you can do tons of different patterns. So there's chase, there's where they move out. There's also twinkle functions, snowflake functions, lightning functions. So if you you want to do a Halloween deal and it'll look like lightning flashes. Yeah, so there's a lot of different animations that go with it.
Troy?
You're going to have fun.
Sorry, Charles, are you good?
I'm done.
Okay. Troy?
I've been researching these lights for the last 2 months because I'm getting tired of getting up on my house and putting up Christmas lights. So you do residential too, right?
Yes, absolutely. We're in crazy peak season right now. So
I would like to have your business card when we're done.
yeah, absolutely. I will tell you if you we're getting pretty close to being booked out, and so if you wait until January, you get a 20% discount.
So you said a lot of different color combinations, but if we needed to, our color scheme, if it's, an off season, we could sync it up to the colors of our signs or something.
Yes, yeah. So there's actually a deal inside of there where you can pull up the color wheel and drag it around and find the color, or if you have the specific RGB code for the color, you can put that in as well.
Okay.
And then I will get really nerdy on this one. So the lights are going to emit a certain gamma that the eye doesn't recognize, and so we do have a gamma corrector app if you want the exact color that you're looking for. So if you want to really get nerdy with it, we can do that.
Brandy?
You said these are supposed to last for 10 years. How does it, what keeps it from fading, from being out in the sun?
So that's
during
one of the
summer?
deals, since the commercial lights do point out, they are going to be exposed to the UV. That's why we only have the 10-year warranty on those. However, they are rated for 50,000 hours, and so if you ran them for about 4 hours every single day, that would last about 25 years. So they're rated for higher, but they will get UV abuse. And we can't track how many hours you use your lights. So you're covered under that warranty for that full 10 years. So if you have any issues or if you see things that aren't working properly, we take care of it. Yeah. And they are each light is independently chipped, so you can select what color you want on each individual light.
Wow. I don't see any more questions, so Thank you, Carl. We'll
Absolutely.
entertain a motion.
Thank you so much.
Troy?
I'll make a motion, move to approve and authorize the city or the council president to finalize and execute a contract for the purchase of City Hall lighting from Trim Light Wichita for the total not to exceed $38,791.20 to be paid from the general fund governing body department.
And I would second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 7-0. Thank you. That'll look nice. Item 13, discuss and consider a resolution adopting the Federal Emergency Management Administration Region G Hazard Mitigation Plan. That was a mouthful.
Mr. Council President and council members, this isn't quite as flashy of a presentation, but Sedgwick County is located in Region G it's actually the Kansas Division of Emergency Management. Sedgwick County Emergency Management is the lead agency that has been coordinating with local governments to prepare a hazard mitigation plan to submit to the Department of Emergency Management. Park City's inclusion in this plan allows our area to apply for hazard mitigation grant funding for various projects, things like safe rooms, hail-resistant roofing, backup generators, and so forth. The hazard mitigation plan is complete and officially approved by FEMA. However, for the plan to be valid, it must be adopted by all of the taxing entities in the county. I included a link to the document because it's 786 pages, and I didn't think you'd want to have that printed out. So with us this evening is the Director of Sedgwick County Emergency Management, Julie Stimson, and I believe she has a brief presentation for you and would be able to answer any questions that you might have.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, good evening. Yes, this is a very large document, so I'm going to give you the 30,000-foot view of what's in this plan and then stand for any questions. I do have a few slides, if you could go to the next slide. So what is the mitigation plan? Pretty much what this is how to reduce the risks for the hazards that we know could happen. Sustained actions eliminate the reduced risk to people and property from the effects of natural and man-made hazards. So this is an all hazards plan, not just what we think of with tornadoes. We also have like cybersecurity and some of that in here. Identifies what the hazards are, what the vulnerabilities are, and then what are some strategies to reduce the risks when those hazards do occur. This plan can be used to help direct policies and actions to provide long-term benefits for the community. And we also suggest using this plan with regards to regulations, ordinances, permits, and capital improvements that do reduce the risk to the community. And it's designed to be a living document. We do update this formally every 5 years, but this is a living document that we take a look at every year. Next slide, please. Like Chief mentioned, FEMA has approved this plan, which means it meets all of their criteria to qualify for the grant funding that they have available for hazard mitigation. The next step is to get local adoptions of the plan, which is what I'm here for today. And then that makes our plan valid for the next 5 years until we do the next revision. Next, please. Adoption, what are we adopting? It just shows that we're complying. Again, FEMA approved this. We meet all the requirements for the Federal Robert T. Stafford Disaster Relief Act. And again, it looks at all of the code of federal regulations, making sure that any grants that we apply through for this mitigation plan is in compliance with all of the directives that are out there. Next, please. I'm not going to go through all of the details of slide prior, please. One more. There we go. So I just want to list the people who make this plan. The Kansas Division of Emergency Management actually contracts a company to come out and work with us, 11 counties, to create this plan. But we consult with all of these partners to make sure that we have the true experts in here in identifying what mitigation strategies could be in place for the hazards that we know exist. So we looked at local plans. We looked at the 2019 plan, which was the last mitigation plan, our local plans, as well as some of our state and regional plans that we have in place. Next, please. Also looking at a lot of the FEMA, a lot of the data that's out there, the National Risk Index. We looked at flood insurance rate maps, Army Corps of Engineers, Department of Agriculture, the USGS, the Geological Survey, National Weather Service, and the Kansas Division of Emergency Management. So there was a lot of SMEs, if you will, with data that is in this plan. Next, please. So the city, Park City actually has some pre-identified mitigation actions. Chief already alluded to a couple of them, things like hail-proof, I shouldn't say hail-proof, hail-resistant and fire-resistant roofing. Just a few, again, looking at all hazards. There's drought now on here that was not in the 2019 plan necessarily. Talking about there may be grant funds available for xeriscaping, which reduces the reliance on water for landscaping. Heating and cooling centers, now that we're looking at extreme temperatures, extreme heat, and extreme cooling, there may be some hazard mitigation funds available to help build or strengthen current facilities to be heating and cooling centers. Improving stormwater management systems to help alleviate any flood risks. For tornadoes, you mentioned safe rooms. We do have a safe room program in Kansas. It's called the Sunflower Safe Room that residents can actually apply to have reimbursement for storm shelters that they build into their homes. Again, that is managed by the Kansas Division of Emergency Management. Next page, please. Ooh, sorry for the graphics on that. I do also want to mention cybersecurity. Certainly, as we do risk index with every plan revision, we take a look at what's happening in the community. Obviously, cybersecurity, we know the numbers are going up. We're definitely vulnerable to cybersecurity. So they do have some pre-identified recommendations on how to mitigate the risk of cyber incidents is the main focus of having a cyber incident response plan. Next, please. So we talked about the grants. FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant, there is a whole federal program. The Kansas Division of Emergency Management has a mitigation directive. There's actually 4 mitigation grants programs. Some of you all may have heard of BRIC, the Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities Grant, the Flood Mitigation Assistance Grant. Those are pre-disaster grants, so those are the ones that you can have projects ahead of time and apply during those open windows. We have the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program. We mentioned the Residential Safe Room Program, which is also called Sunflower Safe. It's a rebate for purchase and installation of residential safe rooms. And then we have hazard mitigation grants post-fire available to us. When we talk about hazard mitigation, I like to show the picture of a great example of a hazard mitigation project, and it's that MS Mitchell big ditch that has definitely protected the city of Wichita from floodings that used to happen before this ditch was built. So that is the 30,000-foot view. Definitely stand for any questions. Our contact information is on the board. Jonathan Stroffer is actually my planner. I know we coordinated some meetings throughout the last year with local partners. Some of you may have worked with him over the last year when this plan was being revised.
Now, I think my mind would be focused on the cost of our compliance with this. I mean, and I don't know how far we've got into that, Chief, and what kind of yeah, I guess that's just maybe some conversation to be had here.
Cost in developing the plan or cost to execute the plan?
We're going to participate in it. You had quite a long list there of things, and some of those were high priorities that we would need to comply with. That's the way I read that, right?
Yeah, yeah, and part of it is, if FEMA were to just give us a big pot of money and said, make your community, reduce the risk in your community, we just want to pre-identify some of those projects that we could use that funding for. To actually develop the plan and come up with these ideas, it's contracted through grant funding through the Kansas Division of Emergency Management, and then it's funneled down to the local counties to do this.
Okay. Any other discussion or questions?
Not as fun as the Christmas lights.
Troy?
So it says here, there's no fiscal or no cost to the city to adopt a plan. Is really the plan to help us become more eligible for government funds from FEMA? Is that what this is for?
That's exactly what it is, yes.
Okay. That's all I got.
Brandy?
I don't have anything, so I move to approve resolution number 1231-2024, a resolution adopting the Kansas Homeland Security Region G Hazard Mitigation Plan.
And Troy?
I second.
A motion and a second, and no more questions.
All right, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I know it's not as fun and juicy to talk about, but I appreciate your time.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 7-0. Item 14, receive an update from Sheldon Architecture on the new senior center. Sean?
Yes, sir. We have both Stan Sheldon and Rick Brown here tonight, just to provide an update on the senior center.
Good evening, Rick Brown with Sheldon Architecture. We just want to give you a quick update on where we are with the plans for the new senior center. If you could put the slide up. We have looked at the site plan and made some adjustments to it. Some of the highlights of things we've done, made a place to accommodate for a trash enclosure, full sidewalks around the entire building. We added a few more handicap spots, and we looked at an in and out approach that enters the site. Other than that, that's pretty much what you saw the last time we presented during the public hearing. And the floor plan, this was developed in reaction to a lot of the comments that we had at the public hearing, mainly about the pool tables and the pool group. We actually enlarged that room and made space for 3 full tables as well as side tables adjacent to that so that they can have some gathering space off to the side without interrupting the actual play. We increased the size of the fitness room a little bit, and we've made sure that we can fit about 200 people with the 8-foot table layout that you see up there. So that works. You can get that many people in there when you have a large gathering. So other than that, there really wasn't very much change. What we've done is we have developed this into 3D, and this is just basically a conceptual box model of what the senior center could look like. We've talked about the number of windows we'd like to have, where we'd like to have them, areas that we'd like to have accented with a lot of natural light, and that would be the lobby entryway and also the gathering area combined. There's a pop-up over the multi-purpose room as well. We have an area over a seating area at the end of the hallway on the west end of the building, which we'd like to accent as well. We have 3 concepts here. Basically, all of it is relates back to the way the roof slopes. If you you can look at this plan and you can see that the slope of the gathering and reception entry comes out. That's facing to the north. If you can go to the next slide. This is one where it's tilted the other direction, tilted up towards the west. And the third one's basically the same thing. The only difference between the last 2 is that we have a different slope on the roof above the gathering area at the end of the hallway at the west end, which we may develop that a little bit more. But as you could see in this model over on the bottom drawing, looking at the left side, we have a new glass entryway that will function for, after hours uses, so the community can use that entryway and gain access to the multi-purpose room, the community rooms, bathrooms, without gaining access into the main senior center areas. So, and we've also put this on the site to give you a little bit of an idea of where we're looking. So, this will be developed based on your feedback. We'll start developing this with materials, and we'll start looking at the interior spaces here next. So, that's kind of where we are.
What's the?
If I could just say, why don't we
Yeah.
go to the first slide and then the second slide of the 2 building images. So go back two slides. One more. Okay, so you've got this one. Sorry, I talk kind of loud though. So you got this one, and it's obviously got a little bit more presence of glass on the front elevation of the building. And go to this next slide. And that one has a little more reduced glass, and the roof is sloped a different direction. You know, we honestly feel pretty good about the overall. We got lots of great feedback from everybody. So these are very minor changes. They're really just kind of a little bit of an emphasis change. And again, the gray box, we want to, have materials that are maybe similar or sympathetic to City Hall, which we're not showing those materials at all. This is just a gray box. So don't worry about it. We're not going to have a gray box. It's going to have a lot more fun to it and more lively colors. This is just the shape of the building that we're kind of analyzing so that we can move forward. We've got an aggressive schedule, and we want to give people some chances along the way to see it in progress. So this is today to kind of say, yeah, we like it. We'd like to see more glass, or no, we like this slope the other way. That's the big decision for today, is really seeing those two options. We feel like the windows are placed appropriately around the base of the building so that we have windows in the right rooms. We don't want lots and lots of glass all over the place because of heat loads and air conditioning and all that. But we want to bring some light into that central core area where the gathering and the entry is. Can you go back one slide again? One more. Okay, so seeing that higher roof there again, and then going to number 2. Those are that's the big difference. And I don't know which one you would, prefer. And then we kind of, I don't know that we've got a strong preference. We like both of them. The first one's a little bit more similar to City Hall. The second one's got a little more difference, but I think they're both going to be very successful and a fun place to go to, but just a minor tweak there.
And the roof over the multipurpose room is also sloped. It slopes towards the back.
Okay.
You want to see those two again? First one again, and then a second.
Okay, well, let's get you some feedback then.
Yeah.
Brandy, what do you think?
I like the first concept better. I like how it complements the admin building. I think those, I like that it ties to that.
Yeah.
Any questions or?
No.
Or, I don't know, let's just go down the line, give everybody some feedback.
Yeah, I like the first one a lot. I think that would be my preference on that. I like the more higher roof, more glass. Looks good.
Yeah, I think the floor plan changes, I like the changes that were made in the floor plan to accommodate the comments. And then concept 1 is, as far as visually, is my choice.
I'm in the same camp. I like the consistency of the first drawing to look similar. It makes me think of this building, and it shows some consistency. So I don't really have any questions. So, Charles?
Yeah, the first building drawing looks, how do I want to say it? It jumps out at you more. It's more in your face, I guess. I think I definitely like it. And I like the floor plan, the way you have it designed too, so. Number 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go with the flow and go with number 1. I think that the consistency with what we have here and the correlation as far as how it looks, I think matches or goes with what we already have. Did we talk about location for this senior center originally? Can you tell us exactly where, for the benefit of our residents?
Yes. If you could go back to the beginning, the site plan. There you go. What you see over there on the left side of the screen is hydraulic that would be, running north and south. And then that's a new drive, that part of the development that's going on. Stewart Drive, I believe is what it's called.
Okay.
Running east and west, which is not there yet, but they're working on it. So if that gives you an orientation.
Okay.
And it roughly set behind the current senior center.
There are some apartments going to, planned or being looked at across the street.
And on the south side, on on the south side, the bottom page, those would be the homes on the north side of Beaumont Street currently.
Okay, thank you.
Charlie?
I like concept one.
Great.
Pretty,
I think we have direction. Okay.
we're pretty consistent. Is that, any other decisions here other than to just kind of receive and file this,
Not yet.
receive and file this?
We'll bring more to you.
Okay. I guess we would entertain a motion to receive and file. Charlie?
So moved.
And Terry?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? 7-0. Thank you. That's good stuff. Brings us to item 15, discuss and consider approving an agreement with McCown Gordon as a construction manager at risk, CMAR, for the new senior center.
Yes, sir. Continuing on, at the last council meeting, Stan was asked to outline the benefits and recommended the city hire a construction manager at risk, a CMAR, for the new senior center. Under CMAR, the construction manager would be responsible for overseeing the project and ensuring it's completed within a guaranteed maximum price, which would be set at a later date once we get a little bit closer to final design and get ready to go out for bid. The construction manager would also act as a consultant to the city during the design and construction phases. CMAR is a derivative of the design, bid, build process, but differs, whereas under the CMAR agreement, the construction manager is responsible for the entire project instead of the designer/architect. Some key aspects are cost predictability, where the construction manager assumes the risk for any cost overruns, giving the city more financial predictability. As far as project involvement, the city is still involved throughout the whole entire building process. The CMAR acts as both the construction manager as well as the general contractor for the project. And as I mentioned, there will be a GMP. We'll mention that several times going forward. That's the guaranteed maximum price. They'll provide the city with a GMP before bidding the project, which includes the contingency line item for bid overages and other related items. And then finally, the construction manager is responsible for all the subcontractors on the project. At the request of the city's Sheldon Architecture advertised a request for proposals, an RFP for CMAR services. They received a total of 4 different proposals, and from that, a selection committee comprised of both staff and Sheldon's representatives narrowed the proposals down to 2 finalists. We went ahead and conducted interviews last Friday, and based on the qualification, fees, and those interviews, staff is recommending McCown Gordon. In your packet, I have set up the agreement will be based on the following fees. And again, this is an estimate. Right now, the construction cost is estimated at $4.8 million. But again, we're still early on in the process. And so there is certain percentages that the CMAR will charge for construction management as well as project involvement. So that's the way I have it outlined. So it is not a firm fixed cost price at this particular time. But staff recommends approval.
Okay. Any discussion from there? Well, I'm not seeing any too much discussion here, and I think it's because we discussed it pretty heavily at the last meeting, and I think everybody probably understands here. So it's either ask questions or entertain a motion. So I have Brandy.
I move to approve and authorize the council president to finalize an agreement with McCown Gordon, the amount of $411,600 to be paid from the capital project fund.
And Terry.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Passes 7-0. The process continues. That's great. Item number 16. Make sure I don't lose my track here. Discuss and consider approval of a bid from Pearson Construction for Phase 2 of the 2024 Street Rehabilitation Project. Sean.
Yes, sir. In February, council approved the 2024 Street Rehab Program project, which included a 2-inch mill and overlay of Broadway Avenue from 45th Street North to 59th Street North, as well as the concrete entrance improvements to Old Lawrence Road where it meets Broadway. All the bids for the projects were well below the engineer's estimate, prompting council to approve additional projects. On October 24th, a bid opening for Phase 2 was completed with a total of three companies submitting bids. Pearson Construction submitted the lowest bid of $521,099, which was below the engineer's estimate of $699,269. Attached are copies of the bid tabulation and Pearson Construction contract. And if you could, Matt, we have maps here. The first one, the actual overall bid portion of this was to extend or connect Grove on the very north end by the basketball court. As you know, right now, you get to the end of Grove, and then there's a little lapse before it gets to that. So part of that is connecting the street and installing a new water line. And then a part of the original bid is a 2-inch mill and overlay for the rest of Grove Street. And then if you could go to the second one, this was an add alternate number 1, and it's a 2-inch mill and overlay of Ravenna Street. And then add alternate number 2 was a concrete extension of the Jacksonville intersection. We just recently with Andale went all the way up to the very first entrance going into Quick Trip between Quick Trip and Subway. This extends the concrete all the way up to the next street. And then after that, it would be a 2-inch mill and overlay over to where it meets up just around Applebee's. And that is on Jacksonville. So this phase includes all 3 of those projects.
Wonderful. It's nice to keep moving this along and getting more streets checked off the list. So any questions or discussion? Charlie?
I don't have any questions. I move to approve the bid tabulation, authorize the council president to finalize and execute a contract with Pearson Construction, the amount not to exceed $521,099 to be paid from the Special Streets and Highway Fund.
George?
I'll second the motion.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes 7-0. Brings us up to item 17, discuss and consider approving a resolution assuring compliance with the rules and regulations of the Outdoor Recreation Legacy Partnership Grant Program. Maddie.
Good evening, council. It's an honor to be before you all tonight. I am here to talk about resolution number 1232-2024. The city is applying for the Outdoor Recreation Legacy Partnership Grant Program through the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks. If awarded, this grant can cover up to half of the cost to construct the new swimming pool. So it's an amazing opportunity. Part of a complete grant application includes an authorized resolution illustrating the city's commitment to comply with the rules and regulations of the ORLP grant program as defined by Federal Form SF 424D in compliance with the Land and Water Conservation Fund Act of 1965. This resolution is included in your agenda packet. Staff recommends approval of the resolution. And until last Wednesday, the deadline for this grant was November 15th, which is why I stand before you all tonight. But we found out later on Wednesday that they've actually extended the deadline to February 7th. So we're excited about that, but this is just part of the application. And yeah, I'm here for any questions if you have them.
You are a grant-finding machine here lately.
It's all Sean. We're a good team.
Concerns of it? Is it, do we have to make, we're making a decision to apply tonight. I know there was some discussion of one of the other grants if we didn't like what we found.
Well, we're definitely not making that final decision tonight. There will be time over the next couple months while we, finalize everything and work with our architectural firm. So this really is just saying if we get the grant, if we choose to accept it, just like the CDBG one, that we will follow the rules. And pretty just standard that they just want that in writing. And I'm really excited about this grant. I think it's an incredible opportunity, and I really hope that we can get it. I think it will make building this amazing new swimming pool much more doable, and not doable, it is doable, much more affordable. And we've been working with the state really hard to try to see, what programs would fit best with us for this project. And so I'm really excited about it.
Great. Any other questions? I don't see any. So we'll entertain a motion. Somebody clicked, but didn't, but. Charlie,
I move to approve Resolution 1232, 2024, a resolution affirming Park City's commitment to complying with the rules and regulations of the Outdoor Recreation and Legacy Partnership Grant Program as defined by Form SF 424D in compliance with the Land and Water Conservation Fund Act of 1965.
Troy.
A second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Passes 7-0.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thank you. That takes us down to governing body remarks. Brandy.
I have nothing tonight.
Troy.
I don't really have anything. I'm glad the election's over, and hopefully we can move on, and that's all I got.
Harry.
Yeah, nothing for me tonight, thank you.
I don't have anything either. Charlie?
I have nothing.
George?
Yeah, I want to thank the Community Relations Board for our Fall Fest that we had last month. It was very entertaining. We had a lot of people there, and everybody seemed to have a good time, and we closed it out by Hocus Pocus at the park. So I want to thank everybody involved with that.
Charlie?
I don't have anything tonight.
I would entertain a motion. And let's see here. Charlie
I move we adjourn.
and Troy.
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.